they can broadcast on YouTube for up to 8 hours now.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's an improvement. All right.
Ryan just
Boy,
stuck in there.
yay!
It wasn't
Just made
that
it.
nasty.
It was partially.
Potentially.
Yes, welcome to the Tolkien Society May 2014 monthly meeting and broadcast. And we're just getting set up here, but I want to let everybody know we are here, just running 3 minutes behind. But we're getting ready, so I want to make sure we're out here streaming.
Stay tuned.
And give everybody a chance to get on the stream, etc. So we'll be just a few minutes before we're talking, but we are here getting set up.
And also, if they want to, they can refer to.
Hey, yes, take a look at our previous,
Yep, it's on the website. So
When you join the Hangout, you can post those links in there somehow. I still don't know how to get them to be in the video. You have to click on a plus link to see it. But anyway.
It's letters 84 to 89.
84 to 89.
Those of you who want to look those up, perhaps, and get a little sneak preview of what we're going to be talking about today as part of our thing. And do you have j.r.r. along with you?
I think I had the same one I had in.
You want to have that for later.
Okay.
Pick out a one.
Right. Thank you. Forgot about that.
No problem.
My Mac is being serviced right now, so I was grabbing my Alienware, which I haven't used in a while except for music.
Okay.
Trying to get it ready. What do I want to do on
Oh,
my?
it's got. I like your little tab up there for recording there. That's a nice.
Which what?
No, it's just a nice little one for recording. I like your little one there.
Oh, I just shrunk the window. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a nice lightweight kind of portable thing.
Brian, he's trying to.
You mean on Surface?
Never mind.
Or you don't have the laptop device?
Me, a Neanderthal, talking about computers.
That's
I
right.
got a little tablet thing
Yeah.
with a detachable.
Oh right, yeah. It's a Microsoft Surface Pro 2.
Okay.
So it's I've been using it up there. I've had the Mac and it opposite each other.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it before, but I like it.
Yeah.
And then he's realized he's distracting you when you're trying to say.
I am. Separating Hawk from this love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I hate school.
I think it's like the board, you know. The moment you think you know what you're doing, it's
Did you say it's like the board?
the board. Yeah. What do they always say? Next gen, they'd say like, it's not recalibrated, but
Assimilated?
no, adapted. So as soon as they'd shoot it, and then the board would adapt to whatever they were
Right,
using.
the frequency
and then it would
or whatever,
affect
yeah.
more.
And at one point, Captain Picard realized that if you use bullets, you don't have an issue.
Really? Damn.
So he used holographic bullets.
I don't know.
He disabled the safety protocol.
Darn it, why would you ever disable a safety protocol on a holodeck? That's just like asking for trouble, you know.
Yeah, that's just
Oh, I
so
think that's
soft.
unsafe.
Did you go through the entire section of Moriarty?
Oh, right. Yeah,
Almost
right.
all of it. Almost all of it. I don't think I ever saw the first one of Moriarty.
Oh, really?
Well, no, I did actually.
Yeah, Data doing the whole Sherlock Holmes thing.
Right. And then this guy pops up, and they realize that it
He's
doesn't
achieved
apply to him.
sentience.
He
Yeah.
knows how to disable the safety protocol.
Yeah. I don't remember how it
That thing
ended.
is a death
Wait,
trap.
very last episode of Next Gen wasn't that?
No.
No.
The one with the.
No,
Yeah, that was a
Q.
Q and
No,
3 different time periods in her.
But there was some
They were
closure.
dressed up though in a different time period.
There was some closure with Moriarty towards the end where he,
Yeah, it was close. It was the last season, but not.
but it was
okay.
definitely.
Somebody would point
There
out
were
that
some safety protocols that were
as often as the hologram
disabled.
hologram safety
Definitely.
protocols. Yeah, it's a death trap.
We call this
You think
holodeck.
OSHA would ban
We call
holograms?
this holodeck the Venus flytrap.
You think OSHA would forbid the use of holodecks?
I think it's all
Navy vessels.
I think it's an elaborate metaphor for how we're amusing ourselves to death in contemporary America.
Roger Waters of Pink Floyd fame has a whole album called "Amused to Death." And the human race has amused itself to death.
Yes. Really close from.
Well, it was the only Gulf War I protest album.
Wow.
That is part of the problem of Rome, and it's the problem of this Western society as well. How's that?
The amusing
Right,
stuff.
circus.
Or
Science fiction.
at least
Thank you for that.
We'll be kicking us out soon.
yeah, at least I lost my train of thought.
Got derailed.
It was a long train. Therefore, more weight on the tracks.
Right, the circus.
More speed.
Entertainment.
Yes, Rome. It's the problem with Rome.
At least economically, the entertainment began to drain on the society, but that the society entertaining itself led to decreased production and a lot of people who just were on the dole instead of doing something useful for society. Doesn't have to make money, it just has to be useful to society.
I think you're draining fans. No,
No offense.
no. There's no offense
Didn't
involved.
hard and enjoyed fencing.
So it's
Now that is a question that has been unanswered.
What's that?
If Sulu and Picard were in a fencing match, who would win? Ooh.
at the time, Sulu's dead by the time Picard showed up.
Was he, or was,
No,
was a
he
crossover?
was just on a different
He
ship.
was a commander. He was an admiral.
No, they're Sulu. The character Sulu is from a couple generations back. When Picard showed up.
But in the movies, though, like in the Generations one,
There's some
Yeah,
travel.
right. But Picard and Sulu don't go on that.
They still won't do it right.
Picard and Captain Kirk. I mean, Kirk.
Oh, so it's 9 hours.
Captain Kirk.
Well, it was actually not that bad.
would I be able to get on it?
It's still the linking with YouTube. They still, Google Plus keeps breaking it.
Well,
Like I keep getting it fixed and then they like change it back.
no.
So that so there's a simple link. You know, just go to youtube.com/Tolkien Scholar to view our stream, and it keeps getting reverted to the gibberish ones.
Oh.
Gibberish.
To useless ones.
So is that because of when people try to watch?
They're not able to watch because it just shows that we have no videos on that channel.
So we're broadcasting, but not where people need to see it.
Right.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
All of a sudden, I can't connect to it. I imagine what to do with the broadcast.
Well, I'm split between my cell phone and. But there's other people here. As soon as somebody there starts to download or peer-to-peer, it chokes them that way.
I'll get out the baseball bats.
Why are you a baseball bat? I'm
The internet mafia.
See, it went under North Radio again. Gabby Peck. I went through this whole hassle last month to change it all over, and they reverted it. Alright, it's on the North Radio instead of Tolkien Brothers again.
Well, I guess it's a workaround.
Yeah.
I'm just telling Jeremiah. He replied back to me yesterday, so I was.
Alright, at least that's something that's usable for people.
Okay, so it's supposed to be on where?
YouTube.com/Middle-earth Radio, all one word, no hyphen.
Middle. So that's middle, so it's two
Middle
E's.
Earth Radio, yeah, 2 E's,
Okay,
no hyphen.
that's it.
Well, if you screen loudly at a tech support person, they might actually be able to help.
If they're automated
On
scripts, don't
Google.
Well, you know, the monkey might pass it up the chain of command to somebody who actually has, skill.
just like my ordering a DOCSIS 2.0 cable modem. And they expired them in January. But then telling them, look, this very same model was used in this very same location 4 days ago, and you're gonna hook it back up. And it worked. They actually did it. I just had to go through a couple people to get them to do it.
Tech support facilities.
Well, I'm officially a Tony Flats landlord now.
Ooh.
Money flats.
That area down near Monroe and Maple near the river, just a little north of. Yeah. When I first moved to Spokane, I was going to stay temporarily at a place there. I didn't know better. And I was surveying places to actually stay longer term. And my aunt and uncle intervened and went, "Why don't you just stay with us?"
Well, we stayed for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Good for you. So this
Was
is
that
because you
exciting?
moved out, and so now you're renting it out.
Yeah.
Well,
We
the area-
moved to that other evil school called the Oaks, within walking distance.
Yeah, that's nice for you to be here, closer, because otherwise it's a bit traffic.
The area that we're in is a bit seedy.
It's so quiet where we are now.
Nice. And there's some good walking areas there too. Up the hill. I mean, you're not far away from some decent walking. I think. Yeah. Good chance to chat me up here. You walk a lot.
Ride our bikes to a distant hills trailhead and
Nice.
go.
Absolutely.
Okay, Owen's in there.
Good.
Or Johan, sorry.
Go hard to meet
Welcome, welcome. We're slowly getting it all linked together here. Are we at the event horizon of a black hole, so our time is slowing down for us?
If we're within the event horizon, there's no escape.
It's like there's the whirlpool and we're just coming to the edge and getting pulled back into it.
Yep.
No, but you gotta find a crack in the event horizon so it stop.
Yeah, the practice in Sirius is booked.
And then there was a Voyager episode where they got sucked into past the event horizon of the black hole.
I was actually thinking of an SG-1 episode where it leaked through the Stargate
Yeah.
into Earth.
Well, that makes
That was fun.
somewhat sense.
The gravitational.
Gravitational lensing effect. With the Voyager one, they discovered a crack in the event horizon that escaped through. It's a field effect. It's not going to crack.
Mhm.
Finding a source.
We're going through the original Star Trek episodes of the first season, and
Of the first day.
yeah, it's some stuff I've never seen before. They did time travel early.
Yeah.
So we're about to broadcast here, and
Just so you know, we're broadcasting live
As
over
you
the
guys don't
internet,
mind.
if you don't mind being on
On the
there.
internet.
you're at the very far back there, so.
You're in the background.
We'll do some type of photobot work.
Nice.
All right.
I want a song and dance.
Or if you're at all interested in anything related to Tolkien and his works or
Lord of the Rings.
derivatives, that's it's Tolkien
I
Society.
could be the guest IT director.
Can you help them like this?
Who?
Can you do an Elven line dance?
What?
No, Elvin. Elves don't do
Well, but we're pretty good at second breakfast.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get my first lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't yet. All right. Do you want to go ahead and start going over
Yeah,
the
you want to
meeting
get
notes?
something while I'm reading notes?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
get some food.
Keep alive. It's always to be recommended. Would you like to?
Would I like to? Since I was not at the last meeting, I can read the notes.
Okay, you do that.
Oh, a volunteer.
So Brian read the
Well, hold on.
April 26th.
Well, so did Hawk say at the beginning, do you would welcome to?
No, he didn't.
All right, can I quick do an interjection here? So welcome to the monthly meeting of the Tolkien Society, and our SMEAL meets every month at the Rocket Bakery on Hastings. And so today we're going to be meeting till about 3 o'clock.
Must not be hasty.
That's right. So Chris is going to read our notes from last month in as least a hasty voice as he can.
Okay. The SMEAL of the Tolkien Society for April 26th attended Hawk, Craig, Richard, Brian, and absent Christopher. Brian read the March notes, which was discussed. The Robin Hood connection was explored. Tolkien never wrote about Robin Hood to our knowledge. Hawk introduced a new feature of our meetings, learning Elvish words from the old Vanya Tenwa magazine. Word of the month is Dole, English, head. Dole, Dole.
Exactly.
The latest issue of Eminem was commented on, which I have yet to read, but is on my reading list. It was noted that Peter Jackson has retitled his third installment of the Hobbit films, The Battle of Five Armies. No big surprise there.
Right. I mean, that's a lot more catchy than Here and Back Again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turning home.
Brian read j.r.r. letter 81. References were made to Pearl, the Inklings. Ooh, I read Pearl a while ago.
Yeah.
What chapter of j.r.r. was writing Lothar, Frodo, and Sam and Elysium? Drake read letter 82, reference Gandalf, King of Golden Hall chapter. Hawk read letter 83, that this letter is full of Tolkien's literary circle, tough to absorb all the connections and allusions in the letter, scholarly seen at Oxford, British literati?
Sure.
Okay.
Literati.
In general,
Hey, listen, if you can have the paparazzi, you can have the literati, right?
yes.
People who are.
Corduroy Panzers, Roy Campbell.
He was basically, he was a writer that Lewis had kind of satirized or kind of
Okay.
criticized in his writings.
And the East Africa.
Yeah. So then, of course, what happens is they're at the Eagle and Child pub, and they're talking, and this guy's listening into the Inklings meeting, and he's like, "I'm so and so," and he starts talking to them about literature. W.H. Auden and other people who
Sure.
he kind of Tolkien saw a bit negatively about their views. I can't remember.
Upon reflection, it could have been like a reference to somebody who was aggressive in the professor's like a Harper or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Here we go.
Only in the literature.
Can I read the one quote here, Chris? It says, this says here, the story I most enjoyed was the tale of Greasy Epstein, the sculptor, and how he fought him and put him in hospital for a week. However, it's not possible to convey an impression of such a rare character, both a soldier, he's talking about the author, both a soldier and a poet and a Christian convert. How unlike the left, the corduroy panzers who fled to America, Auden among them, who with his friends got R.C.'s works banned by the Birmingham Town Council. So, anyway, that's what it's about.
Okay. Lots of online interaction last month from Artemir, Pieter Collier, and Jeremiah Burns from the UK. Theater made comment as yet unpublished letters of Tolkien, but till 50 letters have been transcribed but not yet published. So, for volume 2, I suppose, is forthcoming. Or a rework of that existing volume.
No, it's supposed to be new too.
Oh,
What was that last comment?
He's talking about the,
1,250 letters have been
Yes.
transcribed but yet published. The question is, are there any that get inserted into this chronology, or whether
They're all I mean, they're all, this guy, he's the webmaster, and he might be listening to us right now. We're talking about Peter Collier, who's in Belgium, and his website is www.tolkienlibrary.com.
Yeah.
And anyway, he's, Johan is Artemis.
Anyway, yeah.
So the question had to do with whether or not those will be published. I have no idea, but basically he's contacted Christopher Tolkien, and I guess these letters have been transcribed from archives somewhere.
Sure, and as long as
he's-
they're just scholarly published online.
Well, I don't even think they were published online. He's basically sent Christopher the transcribed files, the transcriptions of the letters,
Okay.
and Christopher isn't against it, them getting published, but he's so behind on all the projects that
Sure.
this just hasn't gotten done.
Sure, you publish it.
We hope so.
Question brought up by Brand's daughter, Green Dragon, reference in the Fellowship of the Ring to Ents at the northern frontier of the Shire, actually an early clue to the fate of the Entwives, or was it written by J.r.r. Tolkien before he really had decided anyone? However, since he kept this reference in, one wonders if j.r.r. Tolkien kept the possibility open. He never settled this in his other writings, no matter how tantalizing this would be. His last word on the Entwives is that they left the Brown Lands with Sauron's forces, spoiled the cultivation efforts, and turned into a waste. No more was ever known. Also, it was discussed storm over Gondolin was shut down. Good.
by the Tolkien.
Was this an independent, like, Hunt for Dawn?
Yes, it was.
Same group?
No, French group.
French.
It was a French group. They had a website dedicated to it, and basically flying under the radar. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it that way. They were out there and seemed to be, no rumbles of any problems, and they got a cease and desist letter in like February.
Yeah. So, I think that is an interesting thing about other countries' laws versus the U.S.'s laws. The U.S.'s laws allow for satire and other scholarly work.
They weren't intending
Lot of
it
borrowing.
as satire.
Reference of one author equals plagiarism. Reference of many sources of work equals research.
Interesting. Here, here.
Hear what?
You're saying?
So, here we are.
Was that the last point?
The last point is we are going to read letters 84 to 89, and that we are going to meet today,
If we remember.
if we remember.
Actually,
Which I didn't
the notes
remember
say-
until about half an hour before.
the actual notes say last year.
Yeah,
but
actually, I cooked the books, and
Yeah.
I changed the notes
Cooked
to
the books.
retroactively reflect the change. I went back a month in time.
Revisionist history.
That's right, and I convinced myself in the past to change the date.
I don't believe this.
Second copies.
Give me one.
Rohan's silent in the chat room.
Okay, in the chat room, but he said.
He's in the Google plus hangout, but he was silent for the moment.
Okay.
But we were glad he was there. We haven't really said much of comments yet.
We welcome and
Generally, we just start reading the letters and then from there, or conversation.
or lament or
Let's eat grandma. Let's eat grandma. Comments save lives.
Why would you want to eat grandma?
Hungry,
Chewing.
cannibalism,
Chewing.
because nobody else.
I would prefer a pro-mint than a con-mint. So,
There's a new plugin called Soundation. Create music with your friends and group plus hands. See, I've been trying to figure out how to play Tolkien-inspired music at the beginning and the end of each of our broadcasts. Because with Middle Earth Radio, Middle Earth Talk, I've done that with the Middle Earth Talk shows.
Right.
It would be a really nice touch.
Well, Hawk, do we have any people chipping in on was it our Facebook or no? It was actually the actual Google Hangout page last time on the site. I think it was the Google Plus.
Yeah, right now, Google Johan has not commented.
Okay. All right.
He's
Well,
probably waiting
maybe
for us
because
to
there's very
start-
little to
start reading.
comment on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not too bad. All right. So, thank you, Chris, for reading the
Are you a
notes.
potato with opinions?
Commentator.
Oh.
Lord, deliver us from the fury of the.
So what if he's in the raw? How would you? What's the difference between a raw commentator and a?
All right, let's get on track.
I was gonna say, what's the difference between a rock and a hard
Shall I
piece?
pull a word of the day?
Yes, please.
So,
Be most appropriate.
new thing we started last month is doing one Elvish word per day, per meeting. Word of the day, word of the month, I guess, actually. From the Vinyar Tengwar. This is a collected volume 1, issues 1 through 10. I have many of the volumes collected, and you can get these from them. I forget their website information right now. I should get that. Put a note in there that I should provide the Vinyar Tengwar group's web and email information.
Got that.
Okay, because I need it so that other people can get that. So, the first one we did last month, I think, was just Dol. We went with D-O-L as in head.
Yes.
Parts for a start, not everybody part, but some. It's like Dol, you see like Dol Amroth and such, right?
And it's
Or
Dol-
Dol Guldur. So let's see if there's any others that.
Dum doll, dairy doll. This brings
How about?
meaning to Tom Bombadil's song.
Oh yeah. So just so you know, we're broadcasting live over the internet. If
You're very welcome.
we're happy to have you here. We just want you to know you're live on the internet.
Anything you say
So
may not be used against
both
you.
video and audio.
Okay.
We won't bother you.
No, it doesn't bother us.
We don't bother us at all.
We want you to know that you're on the internet. That's all. I should probably put a little sign right
I'll
there.
put a sign.
So how about today we do Roma, R-O-M-A, and this is not the, Roma,
Gypsy.
the gypsy. This is Elvish, which means shoulder. Shoulder. Roma,
My Roma.
R-O-M-A. There's no accent mark on either vowel. So that will be the word of the meeting today, Roma, meaning shoulder, in Quenya. So there we have that.
So it means shoulder. Can you think of any uses in place names or anything like that?
There's something nagging in the back of my head that there is something that uses that. Romena? Isn't there something Romena? I swear there's some places.
Oh, there is Romena.
Rom.
Isn't that on? Isn't that
Romana.
on? Romena, isn't that on the island of Numenor? What that was? Was
Hmm.
there the harbor? Oh,
You're right.
city, I think.
And that's Roman. No, that's not Roma. But you never know if it's.
Throw a pen, please, in there. I'm not publishing.
And projectiles flying at you. Right. Letters of j.r.r.
I put up there.
Okay, great. Paper?
Paper.
A copy on that.
Yeah, we could use it. Sure, that'll work. Just write it across this way.
There's Roman Dasil also. But I don't see any
Broadcasting
letters.
And roll. What did you do?
You're on the computers. I'm sorry, I didn't have any time for preparation. I'm juggling 3 papers due Monday, so.
Checking paper sounds like
Roman-
a light job.
There's Roman, what? Yeah, I can
It's a light job.
I'm used to juggling 3 fruit, but they go all over the place.
Yeah.
Especially with different partner groups that nobody's really doing on
When
top
you get out the watermelons and the chainsaws, it gets a little messy.
of.
Yes, it's good.
Roman Dasil and Romena are the closest, but they don't really quite.
So no specific references.
Nothing I'm finding.
Okay.
That's a bummer. So there'll be some link.
I'll read this back to Silver Lane. You've got a copy.
Something.
So meanwhile, if there's anybody tuning in, Artemir, can you think of any Elvish place names that use the word Roma, which means shoulder in Quenya?
It's the root.
Sorry, it's a root word, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I guess we can start with the first letter. What was our first one to start?
It was 84. Just catching up your other notes.
Sure.
All right, so this is the Vineyard. What's your Vineyard?
Vineyard Tengwar.
Thank you. Word for the month is.
ROMA, there are no accent marks.
Okay, got that. We need their website and is that
Website and email list, subscription, they have an email list.
Oh, great.
We can join.
Wow,
I've been on it
that
for
feels
years.
like the old good old days. Listserv.
I have multiple email lists.
Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, merp at merp.com and list of Tolkien scholars and
The original spin.
Spokane 2600 and many, many others.
Okay,
Spokane ASL.
email list. Okay, so Hawk's gonna read from.
Well, yeah, it's just a short one. Number 84, from an airgraph to Christopher Tolkien, October 12, 1944. I began trying to write again. I would, on the brink of term, ! On Tuesday, but I struck a most awkward error 1 or 2 days in the synchronization versus importance at this stage of movements of Frodo and the others, which has cost labor and thought and will require tiresome small alterations in many chapters. But at any rate, I have actually begun Book 5, and at last about 10 chapters per book. I have today sent Leaf by Niggle to Dublin Review as the editor wrote asking for a verse or narrative.
Aha.
It's really bizarre.
I will have to look that one up.
We should devote one whole meeting to that.
Yes.
I've read that one. I mean,
Yes, I read it a long time ago.
Is that in Tales?
Oh,
you know the book of
Is it in
Tales?
Tales?
No, it's in that,
It's in the little handbook,
yeah.
which of course I didn't bring this time.
no, well, no,
pretty
I usually bring it. Gosh, man. Yeah, I should have looked at it.
well, that's okay, because we're just
Actually, you know what I have?
bringing it up. and-
Yeah, I mean, I do have a
So,
electronic version.
so what does he mean by Leaf by Niggle?
It's the title of the story.
It's
Yeah,
a short
the
story
artist.
he wrote.
Niggle's the artist.
Leaf is the artist.
Right. He wants to paint a tree, I think,
Uh-huh.
It's a bush.
but he gets into so much detail because he doesn't
Do you
leaf
want
by
us
leaf
to-
by leaf.
It's a suspense story. So
Okay.
well, no go into too much.
Oh, no spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, we already spoiled the fact it's a leaf.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys. Leaf by Niggle is about leaves.
Is this a tobacco plant?
Oh.
And starts with long bottom?
No, I think it was like a vine or something.
That's hitting below the soft bargain there, Chris.
It is.
This woman decided she was going to die once all the leaves fell off the bush. So
Next month, a study on the effects of nicotine on hobbits.
So I think we should put for next month, why don't we do reading from that?
It's
Actually,
It's short.
it's short, it's a short story.
It's as long as a letter.
Have we started again?
Okay, next month.
We'll do reading from Leaf by Niggle and discuss it further.
Very good.
So,
All right then.
that also gives everybody a chance here to dig it up and read it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And provide insights.
So book 5 is the second. No, it's the first part of the Return of the King, right? Yeah, that's right. It's book 1 and 2 in the Fellowship, book 3 and 4 in the Two Towers, and
The Reader's Guide. You can use the Reader's Guide. Man, I forgot my actual books. I just brought all the references. But no, the 2-volume set, no, Skull, and you can use it, or the Lord of the Rings there, either one you can reference.
You mean the book is holding everything up?
Book and. Hey,
Say the
do you need a bag there?
I was trying to say
Do you need a bag as a bookend?
I'm missing that.
All right, here.
Bag end.
Oh, good grief. Mr. Underhill.
That's the chronology. You want the reader's guide?
Yeah, that's.
Sorry.
You can go ahead and put that back there to support it.
Sounds good.
That copy on the book.
Well, letter 85 gives the answer.
Oh, follow up, huh?
Right then.
So
You wanna go ahead and read it?
Speculation. You will
from
read
an airgraph, 16 October 1944, FS 56, which is in sequence. I have been struggling with the dislocated chronology of Me Ring, which has proved my precious.
I'm pretty sure that's a typo.
Yes, which has proved most vexatious. That has not only been good with my other more urgent and duller duties, but has stopped me getting on. I think I've solved it all at last by a few small map alterations and by inserting an extra day's moves.
Yes, hum.
And extra days into Trotter's Chase and Frodo's Journey, a small alteration. In the first chapter, I have just 2 days from Morannon to Arthelion. But now I have lectures again, and also Pearl.
Okay, short letter. There's a lot in here, so let's break it down sentence by sentence.
It says our audio is kind of quiet.
Who said that?
Our audio is
Silver.
quiet.
I think it's Artemir. Unless that's someone else.
I don't know. I think it probably auto.
Right. I know. I hate the auto control when it takes over.
Okay, we're working on the volume.
Or just speak loudly. That's
How
all.
do you know
And carry
whether I
small
know controlling the button? How did
Oh, yeah, it's
I have
turned way
no trouble controlling the volume of
Yeah,
my
see,
voice.
it's the Google Hangout is controlling it, and it's not letting me.
Right,
It's not giving me an option to not do that because I went into control.
right. Well,
It's not.
We need
You used to be able to control that.
override.
Now it won't let me.
Authorization override. We're like Nick Fury.
authorization
Jerks.
override.
And
0, 0, 0. Destruct.
More Star Trek references. My goodness, that is annoying.
Google would never give anybody manual.
Yeah, it won't let me stop it from turning it down. So when I talk, it drops it down. So then you guys can't be heard.
Yeah, Hawk. Just tell him it's up down, will you?
Shoot me now. Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Wait. Let me put my head next to his, and then we'll use only one more. Hawk gets up, right?
All right, I'll just keep turning it up when it switches to you guys. I hope that helps.
Because we're so important.
Switch.
Yeah, you're important, aren't you? You're from Oregon.
Are we using a willow switch?
Oh man, we're full of puns today. Sheesh.
Oh. But
All right. So go ahead and read the next. Or did you want to discuss that further?
yes, actually, we do.
Okay, discuss that.
Discuss it further. Aha.
Discuss amongst yourselves.
First of all, we're reading from a corrupted copy of Tolkien's letters. It's
One.
Me ring.
Yeah,
it's supposed to say,
the joys of OCR.
I have been struggling with the dislocated chronology of the ring. But in ours it says, I've been struggling with the dislocated chronology of me ring. So,
Maybe he just means he lost the ring.
He's Tolkien the pirate.
yeah,
Sauron.
we dropped the call.
Sauron
Lost the
dropped the
ring.
ring.
Okay. Well, the first sentence says, I've been struggling with the dislocated chronology. So he's still obviously working through a lot of pain, Sturm und Drang, because he's realizing that this immensely complicated storyline with multiple subplots has finally got him in a corner where he has to actually correspond it to a real world or.
You mean he actually has to do any work?
Yes. And I have he was not cut out to be an analyst who is very much into the whole everything needs to synchronize, everything needs to correspond. And Tolkien, I don't think he was really that kind of person.
That's a new job.
Make sure all the transactions are synchronized, right?
Yeah.
Unlock stuff.
Whatever.
I need to get those TPS reports.
Yeah. Office space.
Okay. So
Transactional processing system.
okay, so the next sentence says, I think I've solved it all, at last by small math alterations. So obviously he was saying, oh, I made them go this distance in only 10 days, but in another place that distance took them like 30 days. So he has to actually stretch out certain portions of the map to fit that.
I don't know, they could have gotten a hold of a potion of haste for that.
There you go. And by inserting an extra day's end loop, that's kind of funny.
We are not hasty.
I mean, you would never want to cut the end loop to a day shorter.
No.
It must always go longer.
No.
Longer.
It takes a long time to say anything. You know.
That's right. I wonder what a filibuster would be like.
You said that too quickly.
What would a filibuster look like in an end loop?
Oh, eons and eons.
Well, that's
And furthermore, as my old auntie used to say,
My old
when she was an egg.
Oh. Oh my goodness, Liz with us today.
well, as long as they're wearing pink shoes when they do the filibuster, it's supposed to be all right then. Political background.
So, does the world pass into the next age when the ends go?
It could be.
Yes, we'll watch you.
Okay, so Trotter. Who is Trotter here? Extra days into Trotter's chase and Frodo's journey.
Yes, who is structured.
Who is Trotter? Reference?
Somebody that
Artemir? Anybody? Answer is 3 seconds.
somebody.
2 seconds.
Somebody is Jeremiah Burns is trying to chat.
Yep.
So now when people click the link to our Hangout, they're not being allowed to join unless they were specifically invited because they're in our circle. They're just being directed to the play page on Google Plus, not on YouTube. And so they're actually trying to post questions there.
Oh,
so
no.
now I got a third place to watch.
Okay, now that might
But
be my
anyway,
fault.
Jeremy Burns, we
Because I
do see
actually,
you
from
posting.
my Google, from my own Google thing, I told them to click on that link for YouTube.
All right.
Middle Earth Radio.
Well, I thought it would let them join in, like Johan has.
Oh, but it has to come from your Google.
They have to be in the circle and
But how did
invited
we get
to
on
the
last
circle.
time?
Who?
Over Jeremiah. He piggybacked on Peter Collier.
Google changed.
I don't know. They keep changing every month. Google changes.
All right. Well,
Let's
look,
try
man,
that.
you could issue him a direct
Well, I
invite.
can see. I'm going to watch hosts here.
I think he'll be a
As well.
frequent participator, so
I hope so.
Shoot him
Welcome, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Hey, who is Trotter?
Who's
See if I can
Trotter?
invite him.
So, the suspense is over, Chris. Go ahead and tell us. Remember?
No.
Strider.
Oh,
It was
Strider.
Tolkien's early
His
name
early name,
for
right,
Strider,
yeah.
which I think is hilarious to think of. Can you imagine? What does Butterbur say when Frodo asks him, "Who is that queer man in the corner
Trotter.
staring at us?" That, my fine young hobbit, is the dreaded ranger they call Trotter.
You know what?
Poor guy's got the trots.
The image that pops into my head is a pig at the trough.
Wow, Trotter. Yeah, kind of pigs trot, don't they?
Yeah.
Horses trot.
Well,
Do people trot? I guess they're globe trotters. You trot globe, right? Sorry, I'm going a little too fast. Richard was developing a thought.
Especially in the Asian race.
No.
Join.
No, Ricky, no copy.
Yeah.
I just don't think you'd be able to read my
Pearl.
As long as you type it instead of
Well, no, it's not that. It's that I use the short.
Sometimes you could read your own. Type.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
You have to kill your house, right?
I only write.
Well, no longer the ability to invite
First word, last
people
word,
later.
So at least he's working on something interesting, which is Pearl.
Aye, that pearl, a great price. That's Sir Orfeo Pearl. That's one of his, well, those two different stories, right?
Yes.
But you can get them. It's
Sir Orfeo and the Green Knight and
Oh, right.
the Pearl.
They're usually packaged in one book. Yeah. Sir Gawain. Anything else in that wee letter?
Which, by the way, is on the reading list at the Oaks. That whole book.
Yes. A quick question. He says a small alteration in the first chapter.
You'll need to speak up.
Okay, right. Sorry. In letter 85, he says he made a small alteration in the first chapter of the Return of the King that he's just sent 2 days from Morannon to Ithilien. So just a reminder that the Morannon, of course, is the Black Gate of Mordor to Ithilien. So this would be paralleling Frodo and Sam, I suppose, when they go to the gate with Gollum, right?
Frodo's turn.
And then they ended up going down towards the secret entrance, the Kirth Ungol. So he's right in the middle of that. But the poor teacher doesn't have any time to write it. You haven't had a chance to read them.
I'm going to give you the extra one letter.
You can do pieces.
A6 moves.
But you have to read it loudly.
From a letter to Christopher Tolkien, 23rd October 1944. FS 57. I've just been out to look up. The noise is terrific. The biggest for a long time. Skywide Armada. Sounds like DA. I suppose it is all right to say so, as by the time that this reaches you somewhere, it will have ceased to exist, and all the world will have known about it and already forgotten.
No email back then.
There seems to be no time to do anything properly, and I feel tired all the time, or rather bored. I think if the djinn came and gave me a wish, what would you really like, I should reply, nothing, go away. With regard to the blasphemy, one can only recall, when applicable, the word, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do or say. And somehow I fancy that our Lord actually is more pained by offenses we commit against one another than those we commit against himself, especially his incarnate person. And linguistically, there is not a great deal of difference between a... I'm not going to repeat that. Without reflection or even knowledge of the terror and majesty of the one judge and the things you mentioned, both the sexual and the sacred worlds have ceased to have any content except the ghost of past emotion. I don't mean that it's not a bad thing. It's certainly very wearisome, saddening, and maddening, but at any rate, not blasphemy in the full sense.
Seems like he's referring to a letter of Christopher's that he's replying to some comments that Christopher had made. regarding people and the words they use, and being bothered when you use a word that's should mean a lot, but it's made to feel empty because it's used in a light or kind of a maybe an irreverent way. Is that what you get from this?
Well, am I allowed to bring the Bible into this?
Well, Tolkien did. I mean, as long as you respect
In
everybody else's
the middle
opinions.
of broadcast right now.
Go ahead, Richard.
There is one story in the Old Testament where a guy makes an oath that if he can kill all these people, then he'll sacrifice the first person he sees when he returns home.
Jeff,
And his daughter greets him, so he ends up having to sacrifice his daughter to God. And
obviously.
I think that gives you a idea of how God views people throwing oaths out and not really meaning them. Most of the time we're just saying meaningless oaths.
Sure.
That we're just throwing out there to give emphasis to something.
Well, don't you think too, Richard? I mean, I think that's a great point. But I think that also, as we moved away from oral cultures, it sees like maybe oaths have also meant less, at least spoken oaths. And so then, therefore, I mean, when I say oaths, I mean like a promise or something. It seems like words definitely.
Word becomes more. People don't value their word anymore.
They don't. And therefore, things that should mean a lot, words that should mean something very special.
The written word used to have a magical weight to it because not everybody can read. That's not so much true anymore because most everybody can read. Not everybody can, but a lot of us can.
That's ironic.
So it's been demystified.
The opposite from the New Testament, you have heard it said, but therefore I tell you,
Let your yes be yes and your no.
let your yes be yes and your no be no. Meaning, don't swear at all. Have enough integrity to say what you mean, and you don't need any of swearing.
So are you saying, Chris, that there's this human dynamic where we seem to throw in more words to make it sound like our language is more
Throwing in the
more well, you can really count on this, or
it's to add weight to whatever you're talking about,
The
or
more
make yourself seem more important.
The more someone sells something by oaths or promises or by any of those other things, the more now, as I'm older, I tend to disbelieve that message even more.
it's interesting. And
Whereas if I have someone who's genuine and real about their product, but they'll get the job done.
So does that.
I'm tending to believe that person more than the one who sells me a bridge.
Jeremiah, I was able to join. I was able to send an invite from this account to him directly, and he was able to join. Welcome, Jeremiah.
fun little
On what you were saying, in some of the psych classes I was just taking recently on personality and on deception and a few other things. One of the things they talked about is each time you say, well, honestly, well, to tell you the truth, the less somebody believes what you're about to say. And it makes them more likely to discount what you were saying before. It now implies that and people do respond to that in a negative way.
Wow.
When you say, well, honestly, well, to tell you the truth, well,
To be honest.
Yeah, the moment you involve honest or truth in what you're about saying or whatever,
On the other hand,
it makes them trust you
when
less.
your intent is to deceive, some people use the technique of becoming angry and loud, and then on the theory that their listener becomes afraid to question what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, there's both form and function going on here, but it's interesting to look at what Tolkien seems to be saying and responding to is that when we use words in a way that they're not meant to, that may not be, in a sense, blasphemy, but he says it's wrong. He's saying it's wrong. Is it blasphemy? It's interesting what he's commenting on, and I'm not sure whether the context here is that Christopher was saying something regarding people's words against, the divine, where people are just throwing words very disrespectfully around, or is it talking about, like he says, both the sexual and the sacred words? I mean, those are two big taboos.
In the
still to
in the
this day.
strictest sense, blasphemy is invoking God's name in vain, meaning you're using His name in a manner that would accrue attention, but you don't want the attention.
Sure. Well, like I tell my kids, if every time I hit my thumb with a hammer and I said their name, how would that make you feel? But I like what Hawk said. I think, and it goes back also just some connections we're making. Certainly, a person like Tolkien cared a great deal about words. Words should have meaning. If words have little meaning, then why are we using them?
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of what Lewis said when he was in Oxford, just working through the biography by Alistair McGrath. That got me for my birthday last year. And one of the things that Alistair McGrath says in his new biography of C.S. Lewis is that he heard people, he'd have private lessons, so he'd be a tutor, and he would tell people, they would come to him and they'd try to defend whatever paper they were doing. But a lot of times he said, a lot of poor thinking went into it, and so a lot of what he was doing was simply showing them that what they were saying wasn't clear, wasn't direct, wasn't valuable, to boil it down. And that's a huge, that kind of confronts me, because I think, obviously it's easy to use language in an empty sense, or to just talk. What's the Shakespeare quote? Sound and fury signifying nothing. Something about words.
I wonder what he would have thought of a popular book that we try to teach our youngins through in public school called 1984, which was written in 1948.
Yeah, which it's a favorite of mine. And my girlfriend's. It's so much a favorite of hers, she got her phone number to end that way.
Oh, wow.
She went through multiple iterations before she could get what she wanted.
Nice. Are we still on?
Yeah, I was just adding another person.
Okay, cool. Well, and I just feel that it's one of the foundational things in our country that we need to uphold, is that you can disagree freely with anyone, but words should not be used to denigrate. So when I'm discussing maybe religious beliefs, the dialogue is what's important. It's the meaning that you're seeking together. And there may still be disagreements at the end, or you might find common ground. But it does pain me how we do live in. I have a sense of humor. I do find it funny when you get satire and all that. But I think we have come to a time when it seems like almost nothing is sacred.
Right.
And how do you deal with that? Because words are tied into life. And so if a culture is developing in such a way that something that's sacred is seen as sometimes almost funny, like, if you're serious about things, people, it makes them nervous almost, that we have a hard time, which goes back to the amusing ourselves to death. We're so geared towards entertainment, and I'm just as guilty, but if we're so geared towards entertainment, then we're not entertaining ourselves, and we have to actually think seriously about what really matters in life. What do we do?
Another huge factor in military culture. We're taking kids that aren't old enough to drink legally. That doesn't stop them, but they're getting away from their parents, and their parents have always told them not to cuss. So a way of exerting their independence is to cuss with every word.
Especially if you're in the Navy.
Oh, I don't know. I think the Army. I think all the armed services.
Yeah.
The Army is pretty, and for military is.
Did you attest to that?
Also mechanics.
Yeah.
I was an automotive technician for more than 10 years.
It's part of the culture, huh?
And an automotive instructor at the American Automotive Institute. Salty language.
So the military reference that Richard made, and bring us full circle to the beginning of this letter, what is the Skywhite Armada that Tolkien is referring to here? What do you think he's talking about? October.
I think he's talking about feedback.
October 1984.
1924.
Sorry. 1984 still.
Big Brother's got it's on your mind, eh?
That was when Big Brother invaded.
Also, when the Apple Mac came out.
I'll look it up if you guys want to talk about the next letters.
Just so you know, we're currently broadcasting on the internet.
You're welcome.
But you're welcome to be there. We just want you to
We
know.
just have
This is
to
a
let you
live
know.
internet broadcast.
It's a club. We're meeting to talk about the Lord of the Rings. So say you're welcome, enjoy yourselves.
You're welcome to.
We just have to warn you.
We just want you to know it's public.
Yeah, we don't want people to be surprised and find out, oh, wow, that is. But you'll be far away. You're at the very
We're happy to have you.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. We'll try not to bother you.
One implication of this is the Plain Language Society and the Plain Language Acts that are going to our state and federal governments, which I happen to love.
For the legalism stuff.
Which says, look, if you want to be clear, and of course the lawyers don't like it very much.
Yeah.
Because
It doesn't give them wiggle room.
it doesn't give them wiggle room.
It doesn't help their jobs.
But it helps, it does help give the government and all its interfaces with the public in the terms of forms and websites and other things, a review of thinking very clearly about what is being said and how it's comprehended and what to define.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of that. I try to incorporate that in,
Well, it makes scoping so
in
much
my
easier
work.
when it's clearly.
So language in that respect is very important.
Jeremiah says, I feel like Tolkien referenced the exact point of not being old enough to drink, but old enough to fight in a war, somewhere in his letters.
Yes, that is familiar. And now that you mention that, it is a funny kind of
Sad irony.
irony.
Back to the country, you can't have it.
Yeah, you're really going to want it when you're.
I can't find anything right now from October 1944, but maybe we can refer to that next time. So obviously there was probably a great amount of probably a large amount of Allied planes, probably quite a few American ones as well, and they were going to be on their way to Europe to try to crush the German resistance as they were continuing their retaking the continent. This is only a few months after D-Day, so
That could be further reinforcements or something.
The Operation Rocket
I don't know when's that. Right here. Okay.
So aggravating it takes over. Do you want to read the next one, or are there any further comments on that? Brian, is it your turn?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you get a turn?
Yeah.
I've got one.
Okay.
It's hot pink copy. I think it's hot pink.
That's my vote.
I was understand it.
Oh, since we talked about machines, I agree.
Okay, so
Okay,
which
are we
one
at
are you reading?
87 now, Dave?
Yep.
Okay. And am I being recorded on this one or that one?
This is, I can turn that one on if you want. 'cause it's
No, that's
closer to
fine.
you.
So as long as you can still hear me. Letter
Trying to hear
E7
that.
to Christopher Tolkien, 25th of October, 1944. And this does not have an FS number on it. Dearest man, here is a little more of The Ring for your delectation, I hope, and criticism, but not for return. 2 more chapters to complete the 4th book, and then I hope to finish the 5th and last of The Ring. I have written a long air letter today, and shall write again, of course, before your birthday. I am afraid this little packet won't get to you in time for it. Dear Mr. Tolkien, I have just finished reading your book, The Hobbit, for the 11th time, and I want to tell you what I think of it. I think it is the most wonderful book I have ever read. It is beyond description. Gee whiz! I'm surprised that it's not more popular. If you have written any other books, would you please send me their names? John Barrow, 12 years old, Westtown School, Westtown, Pennsylvania. I thought these extracts from a letter I got yesterday would amuse you. I find these letters, which I still occasionally get, apart from the smell of incense which fallen man can never quite fail to savor, make me rather sad. What thousands of grains of good human corn must fall on barren, stony ground if such a very small drop of water should be so intoxicating. But I suppose one should be grateful for the grace and fortune that have allowed me to provide even the drop. God bless you, beloved. Do you think the ring will come off and reach the thirsty? Your own father. It's nice to find that little American boys do really still say, gee whiz.
Lots of people are complaining about this auto mic problem. Apparently there's a registry hack you have to do to stop it. Jeez. Anyway, so comments on that?
You lost the connection on this one.
Oh, well.
11 times, and he's 12 years old. So when did he start reading? 8, 9, 6?
I'm guessing probably around when he was maybe
If he's a fast
19
reader,
years old.
it could have taken him a day to read.
Very few people.
I've done
Yeah, but he had to go to school. The real boy.
that during the summer.
Is it summer in this one?
Well, it's not covered.
Over the summer you put it.
Oh, good.
I've been having trouble getting my machine to connect because I think there's some of these signals.
So while we're working out the technology issues, so one of the interesting comments here that we could discuss is fan mail and just the relationship that Tolkien had with admirers. Any comments on that?
Actually, he's also referencing the gospel in a new weak way. With the incense which, oh man, work like failed saber.
Corn must fall during that, yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of talking about the gospel.
Mm-hmm. So, I think it's interesting. I know C.S. Lewis got a lot of mail from young people about his Narnia Chronicles. I think it's great that Tolkien did have, some young people who really, really enjoyed The Hobbit, and it just shows how it was meant for children. Not little children, but for children as well as adults.
Not Peter Jackson's version of it.
No, this is true. But the book.
The Hobbit was more aimed at children because it was
Windows
aimed at,
just did an update, so it broke network. It just now did an update.
but a little for
Windows.
Windows.
Because I haven't used that laptop in months, so it ran.
Well, we can.
Update.
That's fine.
Microsoft has straight in.
And that's probably what was using up the bandwidth too.
Oh.
It's clear that my son, when he was in, must have turned back down updates back on. I always turn those off.
Yeah, so do I get yelled
All right. Anyway,
So we're talking about fan mail, talking about the comments on the story from America. Kids saying "gee whiz."
gee whiz really is an underused term, says Jeremiah. Now, not the 1950s.
40s.
Let's see.
It's a beaver, huh?
The best part of the fan letters, I think, especially after Lord of the Rings, so I'm jumping the gun a bit here, was that they, due to the relentless request for more information, vindicated Tolkien in his own belief that there was a market for the Silmarillion. That's true. And then also, Isildur says in the Merc chat room that we are soon going to make a new Ardamard release. We made huge changes. Ardamard is their particular fan-based Tolkien role-playing game. It's not licensed the way the One Ring is, but it's fan-based. As I have ARPG, they have Ardamard, all coming from related but slightly different approaches to game mechanics for role-playing in Tolkien's Middle-earth and beyond. So, sharing that with those who are viewing. And you can get to that through ardamard.merc.com, or I think just arda.merc.com. That's MERP. It stands for Middle-earth Role-Playing.com.
Of course, that's right up Hawk's alley because he heads the RPG research website.
Yeah.
Do you want to make a plug for that?
Plug! I don't need, I've done it several times, I don't need.
Okay.
I say that and then I'll go.
Why don't I get any traffic?
That's it.
Oh, I get it, that's right. There we go.
Please ignore the floating cart behind me.
Do you want me to read the little snippet and then the long one, or?
No, that's a good comment from Jeremiah. I think that whole thing about fan mail, what did he say? It kind of authenticating really the interest for more. And actually, Tolkien refers to it at the end of this letter where he says, do you think that there's enough interest in, that the reed will actually satisfy the thirsty? Oh, if he'd only known.
Indeed.
If he'd known then what we know now, would that have affected how Tolkien would have written?
I think it might have pulled him in more directions.
I think
he might have
you're
had
right.
even more trouble finishing.
He would have said, oh, I can't get it out now.
They would have overloaded.
People will, they'll
Would
need
have
more
mattered too much,
background, more knowledge.
John, you might have also looked at the copyright issues and been discouraged because of
He would
because
have.
commercialism.
Yeah. So, let's see. Fan mail. Desperately trying to keep up with the
But if he had copy left of it, he would have left his son in a dire strait.
I wish we had Christopher's letters. I'm sure Christopher still has them, probably, but I think that's an interesting. We're only hearing one side of a conversation here.
Yeah. Often.
Often.
Frequently, not someone who's lost his parents.
Yes. Oh! Yes. Sorry, Pirates of Penzance reference there. By the way, Jeremiah and I ended up finding out that we, oddly enough, have a connection. He's living in a place that is basically part of the same borough council in England, near Manchester, that I was living in.
Oh, really?
So we know some of the same places and everything.
Well,
Pretty funny.
Nice. See, he's added, that's part of the tragedy of hindsight. His publishers weren't keen, but Tolkien ended up being right, though he does admit in a letter later that they were actually right to do Lord of the Rings first. And that's probably true. It would have been too obscure without getting the fan base hooked. I mean, basically, it's a gradation of commitment. Hobbit is the easiest, the lightest read, the least commitment. Lord of the Rings is the next level of commitment and effort, and a little darker, a little more convoluted. You have to spend more time, a little higher language base. And then the Silmarillion jumps up a significant amount. And for a lot of people, I mean, I remember trying to read it in 6th grade and really not being able to finish it. I understood the individual words and such, but I wasn't getting it.
Which one?
The Silmarillion, just the whole in 6th grade. And
I think there's
I was only starting to read like Greek literature and all these other things, so I wasn't getting a lot of references yet.
It was more of the
In
scholarly.
8th grade, it was better.
The Silmarillion was more of the scholarly work, more abstract.
Well, I don't know what's scholarly, but it was the higher style.
It's like looking
Like
at the
Oedipus Rex
same
and such.
world from like 40,000 feet,
Right.
and that is harder. I think.
It doesn't give you the direct individual connection that most people like when they read.
Well, it doesn't have the carrots.
I was able
Yeah.
to
in the
read
narrative
it.
story where it pulls you along.
I was able to read it.
Well, although there are embedded stories in it, like Turin and Vermiluthian, but
Which is pulled from the latest edition.
a lot of people though have trouble with remembering the elves, like Finarfin and Fingolfin and all those.
It's like a Russian romance.
Johan says, I am not a researcher of RPGs myself, but I read the announcements of RPG research. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Jeremiah says, haha, I tried the Silmarillion first in high school, and I still didn't get it until the second time through.
Yeah.
And each time you read it, you get more and more,
Layers.
especially as you read the history of Middle Earth. Each time you go through these, you find more and more, which that's the beauty of it. It keeps you coming
I
back.
guess I need to
Great
get
story.
my hands on the original publishing version because it doesn't match what I remember of it.
Really?
I got a third edition, and I think they chopped a lot.
It was published posthumously, so the first edition of the Silmarillion only came out in like 1977, I think.
No, it came out
Yeah, it was
after I was born.
Well, it came out in 77. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be about right. That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean that was actually one of the first things that Christopher Tolkien published.
I need to try and get my hands on an original version.
I recommend there's a really
I have it. I
good
forgot to
one.
bring it today.
Is yours the hardback one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
The
a
original
nice one
artwork
with all the
and all
artwork. Is
Yep.
that Ted Nasmith?
Oh, no, it only has. Oh, yeah, it does have the armor.
I think the one copy I have has Ted Nasmith and I'm not sure of it. It's some of the illustrators for the Tolkien calendar.
Because it was, the way I remember reading it, it was narrative, then historical discussion, then a ballad thrown in the middle of it. So part of the difficulty was switching between these different narrative styles. Because it, in some ways, it's hard going from a factual discussion in the abstract to a rhyming story ballad kind of thing. It's a bit of a shock.
But I don't want this land. I just want to sing.
No! Monty Python reference. Okay. Geek out.
Yes.
And the castle.
All right, so I read the next
Yes,
snippet, the long one.
the lengthy.
Well, there's a snippet and then a long one.
Well, read the snippet.
So I'll read. Oh no, or is it the same?
No.
Oh, it is. It's a little snippet, and then should I jump to the long one?
Shall we even call it letter 88?
Yeah, letter 88 is really short. From a letter to Christopher Tolkien, 28th October, 1944, FS 58. This empty year is fading into a dull gray, mournful darkness. So slow-footed and yet so swift and evanescent. What did the new year and the spring, I wonder? Not a whole lot to discuss there.
I wonder, here's a quick question. I know there's not much to go on here, but it says from a letter to Christopher Tolkien. So when Christopher Tolkien edited this book, right, what did he cut out?
Yeah. Well, who was it? Somebody,
Juicy bits.
the fellow who was here, Peter, said that he's got access to like 1,000 more letters or something.
Oh, yeah.
There's 1,000.
They've transcribed them apparently from
many more letters.
archives,
Right.
but
There are many more.
But Christopher is too busy with those projects, he hasn't gotten around to giving the go-ahead on publishing. But I wonder if he removed some things because it was more personal nature.
Possible.
I wonder.
Or he just didn't see anything was relevant to the books. Like it was just, personal and not really.
Okay.
Johan says, I did think the Silmarillion was pretty good the first time I read it, and my love and respect for it has ever grown since then. I agree
That's
with you there.
right. Yeah.
I'm still trying to work on that symphony to go on with reading the first chapter of the.
Did you see on the One Ring somebody done that? Well, actually, no. They didn't compose original work. They just tried to pull in
a listening
symphonic,
list. Right?
Yeah,
but they didn't
to go along with.
from scratch.
No.
Right, which
Which
is
is
what I've
really
been
what it
working on
deserves.
slowly. I have the first templates and a few minutes of it, but it's a major task.
Oh
Might be a
man,
lifelong thing.
yeah, for sure.
Jeremiah says first editions aren't overly expensive. I got one that's in decent enough shape for £30. It's not mint or anything, but it's not beat up either.
Jeremiah, just for if you're interested, with the first edition saying, I saw online Oxfam has their website where they put on books that are for sale for their charity. And last summer I saw that Oxfam had a copy of the, this would be the 1963 edition of The Hobbit, which would be basically the 25th anniversary copy, except back then they didn't call it that. And it was for only, it was really amazingly a good deal. I don't know where you look for first editions and everything, but I found that in England too, is that if it isn't a particularly, high profile one, then you can. But I know that Peter Collier probably has some pretty sweet first editions.
I don't normally, Jeremiah's responding, I don't normally look for first editions, but I wanted a nice hardback copy. I saw this one on eBay. I think I picked mine up at, because I had an old paperback Valentine from the late 70s, early 80s, whatever it was. Totally beat up. I still have it, but it's falling apart. So I finally picked up one, hardcover, and I think I got it at the bookstore downtown.
Antiques?
Antiques bookstore, because they had used books mixed in. And I got it for like the retail price of whatever it was way back when. It was nothing.
The alternative to that is that, I think over time we've seen actually better and better editions coming out. So even though I like first editions, I really like
typos.
Well, like what was this? Yeah. What's the guy's name who did the Hobbit, the annotated Hobbit, and everything?
Right, it's right there. You're right.
These are
well, that's okay. That's the history of it. Go to your right.
Go right.
All the way to the right, just before keep going right there.
This one.
That's annotated Hobbit.
It's just beautiful.
Right, by Douglas A. Anderson. This is an updated, revised, expanded version.
And we talked about this before. I don't know if everybody remembers, but the illustrations. That one time we talked about the illustrations.
Right.
And even like some of the original illustrations Tolkien made, like the keyhole, remember, in the door,
right?
And things that were left out of the book.
Quality was so bad.
It was so bad back then when it was first.
Well, that was in the history of The Hobbit too.
Okay.
Versions too.
And then, so now actually, if you possess a copy of The Hobbit, like the 75th anniversary copy that I got at Barnes & Noble's, is actually probably a better quality.
Better copy.
And maybe more in sync with what Tolkien wanted to.
Right.
If can I just make a
please?
You know what I'm going to.
John D. Ratliff, he was at our Tolkien Moot 2008, 9, something like that. Yeah,
and it's what Tolkien wanted to do, because he kept arguing for, what did he want? He wanted so he wanted the sun. Yeah, so this is really what he wanted, but the coloring was an issue.